Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality. While listening, you'll be exposed to inspiring, empowering, and unifying perspectives that I'm highly confident will yield stellar results in your life if you opt to try them on for size. Also, at optimistic.tv, we have officially begun releasing the first few episodes of our new late-night style, consciousness-elevating video variety talk show, Optimistic, which features live visionary art, soul share interviews, retreat guests here at the Mystic Manor, as well as live musical performances. I'm also super excited to announce that we are currently making plans to release the rest of Season 1 on my personal favorite online streaming service. So stay tuned to optimistic.tv to follow the unfolding development of this exciting Optimistic expansion, as we'll be posting more info and release dates there soon. And in the meantime, be sure to check out, of course, the first few episodes at optimistic.tv as well.
Hello, all you positive heads. On this week's P-Head Posse episode, our guest is positive head listener Courtney Peritore Montagne, a podcast host and intuitive parenting coach. Hi, Courtney. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to be here too. We've known each other for a bit now, and man, I remember like one of the first times that we were really sat down and talked, we talked all about like parenting and womanhood, and just you just, you know, you have so much insight and wisdom to share. And so, bringing you on this P-Head Posse edition of the Positive Head podcast was something I definitely wanted to do. And also, I just want to remind everyone, since these episodes are not every Friday any longer, that this segment is the segment of the show where we bring Positive Head listeners like Courtney onto the show to share about what they're doing and what they're creating in the world. And because all of you are so amazing and special and doing so many amazing things. So, Courtney, back to you. Would love if you would just give us a little bit of your background and how you came to just be on this path that you're on now.
Well, I could go back, but I'll save you that. I guess I would say that having children opened up a lot of unknown parts of myself that I didn't realize were there. And so I had all my babies at home, unassisted, in a really intuitive and beautiful way. And then I also raised my children for the first, my oldest daughter for the first 12 years of her life in a really remote valley. So we had no cell phone, no internet, no phone service at all. Our electricity was solar and our water came from the waterfall. And when I came back out into the real world, I saw how much I was able to make decisions for my children and my family just by what was best for us, because there wasn't a lot of outside noise and opinions on how I wanted to birth my children, school my children, raise my children. And so then when I looked around the world, I saw so many parents that had a desire to do something one way, but society doesn't necessarily support that. And I just felt like, God, I want to change the world. And it seems like changing how we raise our children would be one of a highly impactful way of creating, that future change in those generations of change makers. So that's how I ended up here.
I love that so much because it's so true. Like, our children are the future, right? And so, and it works both ways. Like if we invest in our children and we provide them nurturing, loving, supportive environments, right? Like we give that gift to our future. And on the other end, if we don't heal ourselves and we continue and to pass on this generational trauma, we also, I don't want to say curse our future, but we add that to the future as well. So absolutely. And this is just a side note, but do you get the feeling that like the next generation is just going to be like the most powerful group of humans? Like
totally. It just, with everything that's going on right now, it's like, hey, everybody, wake up and realize like all the busyness of getting to work and getting to school and doing the thing and making sure you have all your boxes checked that society tells you needed to check off. Like, we're seeing that fall apart. And we're also seeing people that are like, I don't actually know how to just be with my child because I didn't have that luxury, or I didn't have the ability. They went to daycare, and then I know how to like feed them dinner and get them through the weekend and But like, how do we as a family unit, like I view my family as my own little society, right? And so like, how do we create those like societies in our homes that work and are functioning so that they can go out in the world in a really functional manner? And the world's changing whether we like it or not. So we have to change with it, and make this positive and beautiful and not scary and shrinking back from it.
Yeah, totally. What are some things that, you wish parents could know, or like common things that you see happening between, with parents and children that you feel like you can help with?
So a huge lesson for me, and a big like opening up for myself even this year, was like the realization that cultivating my own self and cultivating my own inner connection is so important to be really connected to my children. And so for so long I had this connection with them, but also we have this fear and the voices in our head. Are we doing the right thing? Or, is this going to screw them up down the road? Like, we all are scared of screwing up our kids, right? And then the reality is they're going to experience trauma. They're going to experience hard times. It's going to happen, but how do we make them super resilient? How do we give them the tools and the support and the love? And I think one thing that, as parents, we want our children to be safe and we want them to have the best and most beautiful life. But sometimes that can be by controlling their reality. I don't want you to make the mistakes I made, so I'm just going to prevent it by controlling your choices, controlling all these, well, this is what good kids do, or this is what, successful people do. And it's really beautiful if you have the time and the space to just sink into, this child came here with a soul that is complete, and they have a journey forward in this lifetime. And my job is to offer them a safe home and food, and to the best of my ability, keep that flame of their soul burning. Because I think for so many of us, it was like, you come into the world, your soul flame is burning and it gets doused. And then you go into your 20s and 30s trying to find it again, trying to reignite it. What if we could keep it alive all the way up? So what if, instead of just doing what we think we should do for our children, we do what we know we should do for them? And in order to know what we should do for them, we have to know ourselves really well. And then we have to take the time and the space to really want to know them. And then it's really beautiful because they know that and they sense that. So is it going to be perfect? Are you never going to have temper tantrums? No, because temper tantrums are a developmental part of life. But you can look at them, you can be with them in that moment, and you can move forward with them without this need for control. I think my best lesson is my second child. I know he cannot be controlled from an authoritarian standpoint, but we have so much love and respect for each other that I know that is his good compass and that is his guide. And it's not just the fear of the retribution. It's I respect my mom and I want to have a good relationship with her. And I think we have our children, and it's not definitely encouraged to keep developing a relationship with them, to develop a relationship with them as a newborn, to be tuned into what they need. And then as it goes up, like all of those changes and growing with them and being excited to be on this journey with these people, and not not scared of the world, and how am I just going to control them and keep them safe? Because if I look at my life and the traumatic events and then the outcomes of them and how it shaped me and changed me and made me where I am today, I wouldn't trade them. But I don't remember all perfect everything. And so it's interesting that we want to save our kids from quote unquote trauma, but that's what shapes us and makes us who we are. And so we cannot keep them safe from everything. But if we can know in our hearts that we're doing everything to support their path, then it just feels better at the end of the day. You can go to sleep without that mom guilt as heavy. Yeah. Mom guilt's inevitable. But
yeah. I love how you just explained that, because I really got this, I felt this shift in energy from, this like idea that I think we're sold of, like, once you have a kid, it's your responsibility to keep them in line and make sure they do this and make sure they do this. And there's it feels like a lot of tightness and constriction and, like you said, control, which isn't fun for anybody in the situation at all. Versus I got this like beautiful image of, like, I don't know why, but it's it kind of reminded me of the Lion King, like Mufasa and Simba, but in human form somehow. I don't know. They're like hiking like in the night under all these stars and just like, like doing it together and like supporting each other on the path, and allowing exploration and allowing exploration and allowing space. And I think that is a really novel way to approach parenting. And I think it's beautiful because it's symbolic of even just as a collective, like where we're going, right? We're going from this state of control and oppression to unity and sovereignty, right? So
totally. It's like encouraging a fullness of spirit and really trusting. And it can be so scary when your baby comes out and you're like, oh my gosh, I love you so much. And I don't ever want anything bad to happen to you ever. And like, oh my gosh. And it's this overwhelming like connection and then a little bit of fear, right? But if we can, for me, what's been such a key and beautiful piece to allow me to release that control, to not be worried about their safety all the time and what's all the things that are going to happen to them, but to really have that faith that like, I'm going to help them cultivate their own inner guidance system, their own connection to their self, their own connection to source, so that when they go out in the world and they're faced with things and I'm not there to tell them, oh, you need to make this decision or you need to make that decision, or, I can have a lot of faith and confidence that they can tune in to what is the best decision for me, because I've shown them that I'm going to take the time to tune in as they're young. What is the best decision for them? And I'm going to treat them all as people. And you can talk like a real person to a 1-year-old. It's not going to be the same elaborate conversation you're going to have with a 20-year-old. But instead of just saying no, you can take that 5 extra minutes to say no because of da-da-da-da-dee. And then eventually they're going to see that, like, my mom just doesn't say no because it's fun to say no. She has reasons behind it. And then if there's an emergency situation where you just need to say no and they need to understand it, they're not going to push back against it because they're going to have this trust that you do take the time. You do want to connect with them. You do want to support them. And they're going to feel that deeply. And it's just going to make parenting fun and exciting. And this adventure that you're on together, not feeling like you have to have all the answers. You have to be perfect. You have to know everything. You just show them your humanity and it gives them permission to be a human, which, is beautiful.
Before we continue on with today's episode, I'd like to take a quick moment to tell you about our new sponsor, NOOM. I agreed to do this promo spot because I am super impressed with the futuristic and simple process that NOOM has implemented to revolutionize diet and wellness. NOOM is the unique, habit-changing solution that helps users learn to develop a new relationship with food. And it's not a diet. No food is good or bad. As we talk about on the show all the time, it's all about proper balance and having good habits. And NOOM just teaches you how to look inside your own mind and make better decisions for yourself. Sounds familiar, right? It's based in psychology, so I'm personally really excited about starting to use it to understand my own thought patterns better. And they make it super easy to do with a minimal commitment of only 10 minutes a day, which is essential for someone like me with so much on my plate. No pun intended. So if you'd like to take the journey with me and sign up for a trial, head over to noom.com/positivehead to start your trial today. That's spelled NOOM.com/positivehead. I mean, what do you have to lose except outdated habits and perhaps a few extra pounds by signing up for the trial? Once again, NOOM.com/positivehead.
Wow. Yeah. So cool and important. And yeah, I was just seeing again so many parallels to like what's happening now, this like deconstruction of because it was occurring. I was like, well, why does that happen? That so many parents actually, I think, kind of like their children to be dependent on them in certain ways. Why? And it's like, well, because we're in this structure of that's just been passed on from generation to generation of like, I'm in charge and you're not. And so that makes the person who is not in charge crave being in charge. And one day when they get to be in charge of someone else, whether it's your children or it's you're climbing up the ranks of a company, right? It's when you get in charge, then you like that person kind of being dependent or you being able to like be very in control of them. And so again, it has such parallels to just like, I think what's happening to us as a human species, as a collective. And I really love how you're framing this because I do think more people just want to be that way. Like I think I'm not a parent yet, but I want to be that way when I'm a parent. I don't want to be, I want to be open and I want to have a really good relationship with my kids and I want them to want to come to me. Like I see that with you and your children. Like they, like you said, they trust you, they come to you, they aren't afraid of you, right? Like they know that you're a resource for them.
They have that freedom. Yeah, they have the freedom to make mistakes because we want them to make these like smaller mistakes where we can help them figure out how to get out of the problem that they've created. And sometimes it's stepping back and saying like, I wouldn't do that if I were you, but I can see that the consequences of what's going to happen aren't going to be life-threatening. And I'm going to let you do this thing that I wouldn't do. And I'm going to let you experience that consequence too. And I'm not going to be emotionally attached to and have to be angry that you didn't listen to me because you might know something I don't know. You came here with a different set of knowledge and skills. And the other thing that you were saying that really like made me light up was if they don't feel this need to grow up and have power over somebody, like you were saying, oh, well, then you go into a corporate situation and you feel it's this. But even if you have a younger brother or sister, and then you want to turn around and enact that dominance and that drama on them. My kids bicker, but they're also each other's best friends. And I have like the rule, don't tattle unless it's important and you have to, otherwise figure it out on yourself. Like I'm probably going to be more annoyed with you for tattling on your sister for something you guys could have dealt with than I am going to be about the thing that you're tattling on, because I want you to have a good relationship too. And it's not about power. It's about give and take and mutual respect. And we have to model to our children the people that we want to see out in the world. Nobody likes to be just controlled arbitrarily. We like to know why and to understand the world around us. And it's our job to do that for our kids, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yes. So much. Do you see if you if you guys are loving this, then good news. Courtney has a whole podcast called Mom Interrupted all about this. Courtney, how often do you release a podcast episode?
I do. They come out on a Monday and a Wednesday. So I was starting to do 3, but then I was like, you know what? I want to be consistent. So yeah, it's 2 a week. And usually at least one of those is a guest. I like to bring in different healers because I think that as we parent, a lot of our own stuff comes up. And so it's great to be in a continuing learning journey with ourselves as well. And that was a huge lesson for me that has been this year of like, oh, I still need to continue and cultivate this relationship with myself. And I cannot just be like a give. And so I offer, different healers and different techniques that we can work with our children, but even with ourselves. And then just like my rambling conversations with myself.
Which are so beautiful and very similar to this. As you can see, like Courtney is one of those people, she just like starts talking and just so many beautiful truths come out of her. And so definitely check out her podcast, Mom Interrupted. It's so cute. And I've been on there actually, right?
Yes, you have. Yeah, you came on.
Yeah, I was on. And we were talking about EFT, right? A little bit. Were you talking about tapping a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else do you feel like is really important for parents to know, like right now, or something like that you see a lot of parents struggling with that you feel like maybe they don't have to struggle with it, they just don't know that?
Yeah. So I see a lot of parents right now, because school is, coming up, and it's going to be very different, and kids are going to be in our homes much more. And what's coming to me is like, put your kids to work. Give kids a sense of responsibility within your family. Give them jobs that they can handle. I mean, my 8-year-old folds the laundry, my 13-year-old cleans up after dinner, and my, 16-year-old helps make dinner. But what it is like you're creating a society within your home. And it's so important, because I think on one hand we have the control, but on the other hand, we have this idea that we do everything for them. And we need to just make sure their world is perfect and beautiful. And we just do it all for them, because we don't want them to experience any struggle or hardship. And I don't think that makes them feel good. Really. I think our children want to feel like they're an integral part of our family, and they're an integral, part of what is going on. And so if we give them responsibility, we can also give them privilege. And I think the privileges that they get should be not earned, like, oh, you have to scrub the toilet if you want to go do this thing, but like there should be a balance there. There should be a give and take. I have a really big family. If my kids want to go to the beach, like they all have to participate in getting us out the door, because that's just the fact of life. And so if we can look in our homes as our own little society and think like, how do we want people to be showing up? And then encouraging our children to take responsibility, not just give, but for them to understand it's an energy exchange. It's not just a given that I'm your mom and I'm going to do everything for you and you don't have to contribute. And that might sound like, overwhelming, but it's so beautiful to watch them, want to be a part of the family and want to be a part of it moving forward. So yeah, put them to work.
Yes. No, that makes a lot of sense. As you were speaking, I was just reflecting on my childhood and like how, like when my parents decided it was time for me to start doing chores, I was so angry about it, because I was just like, well, why now? Like, and what, like it just, I didn't feel like my parents were amazing with me, but like, I didn't feel like I was contributing to our family. I didn't have that sense. I just had a sense of like, okay, I'm the child, they're the parent. Up until this point, I haven't had to do stuff because I'm the child and they take care of me. And now they're asking me to do stuff and I'm angry about it because I'm like, why do I have to do this? Because I didn't feel like what I'm saying is I really think that if from an early age, like you said, it was more so expected that like everybody contributes here and everybody is a part of this family running, and operating kind of like a business.
Totally. And you can see where like, it's exciting for the little ones. They feel excited that they have this job and it's so fun. And oh my goodness, I get to like scrub the toilet. I was teaching my 6-year-old to do the other day. And they was like so excited. I put the baking soda in the vinegar and it makes a volcano. And and like, it was fun. And I remember being little and doing the dishes was like fun. It was so, then you get older and you're like, oh man, the dishes again, the toilet again. But like, if you give it to them where it's fun. And then it's just like a given. This is your job. This is what you do. This is how you support our family. Yeah. It's much easier than like as they're 13 and with all their hormones and craziness being like, and now here's your job.
Yeah.
Which like,
which I feel like is given as like almost punishment, you know? It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's not given as like, you're like, let's all make this run better. It's like, yeah, you're 13 and you're acting up now. So guess what? You get this chore. So that makes us really, totally. And I remember being little and being excited. Oh, could I help with this thing that I have no idea how to help with? And I think you're right, is that like a lot of this, like angst, really comes from kids like not knowing what to do. And so I love that about like giving them a role, you know, how important that is.
Yeah, because they're important members of the family, and then they can take that on, and it's like you see them go, oh, like I matter, my opinion. And then it gives them this place where like their opinions carry weight because they're contributing, and it's just this beautiful cycle. So yeah, as this year goes into effect and parents are like, wow, my kids are home 3 days a week or 5 or all days a week, you know, it's just going to be interesting. And I would just encourage them to start looking at their home and how can we just all come together instead of keeping everybody busy. Like you don't have to keep your kids busy. That's not your job. They should have an imagination. They should be able to play. They should have ways of like keeping themselves, you know, entertained. And you should feel like it's a cohesive unit and not like all these balls that you're juggling. And that's what you can feel like as a parent sometimes. Holy cow, how am I going to keep this all up in the air? And I feel overwhelmed. Yeah. But you can explain to your kids, there's a lot of balls to keep up in the air and I need your help. I need you. I need you to help me. And then they're like, wow, I'm more than just the kid that's in the way. My mom needs me. She needs me to help out.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And also, you know, that I think is the just how it's been for moms, right? Is like that idea that like I have to do it all myself. I'm supposed to do it all myself. That's what a mom does, you know. She never asks for help or she doesn't need help. And it leads to like all this burnout and everything where it's like it's just so interesting how as we're talking about this, it just makes so much sense. And you're like, why don't we operate this way? But I guess that's also part of why all this is happening right now is because it's showing us where we've been really out of alignment, where we've been doing things that don't energetically make sense at all, really. And teaching us new ways of being and new ways of connecting. And we could look at this, like, especially this coming school year as like a gift back to us, because if we switch our point of view and we see like, wow, like I don't homeschool my kids because I think public school is bad. I think other kids are bad or I want them to be super sheltered. Like they're exposed to all kinds of things. I homeschool them because I genuinely I want to be around them and I want to be their main influence in their life for as long as possible. And I enjoy their company. And so if we could flip our perspective to the fact that, wow, society is set up this way that we've been robbed of the joy of being with our children. And now we're going to get the privilege of making new relationships and figuring out how to make it work. And we're going to get the privilege of being with our children more and being a bigger influence in their life. Like it's amazing and beautiful. So I'm hoping that shifts and it's not just this overwhelm for people, but it's this, wow, I get the privilege of being in my child's life more, and that feels good. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh man, I know that when I was younger, I wished my parents were around more. They worked so much, and I had au pairs who lived with me, and I would really bond to the au pair, but then the au pair would leave and I would get upset all over again. And what I really wanted was just my parents to be around, you know? And so truly, I agree. I think it is such a gift, and it's also a big learning experience for everyone. And speaking of that, I know that you are also doing intuitive parenting coaching, and I would love for you to tell the listeners about that, because I'm sure there's so many moms or dads right now who are listening going, oh my God, I need this woman in my life. So how can people?
I offer support because I said, where the experience that I had raising my children when they were younger, I didn't have a lot of outside opinions. And it can be really hard when we even know how we want to parent them. And then grandma says, why are you doing it like that? I did it like this. And almost it's insulting to them, or you just don't have the support to say, you want to do it different and you don't know how, or you don't feel supported in doing it. And so my real passion is offering that support to parents. And a huge part of that is a lot of us don't even have the time and ability to tap into our own intuition and our own inner knowing. And that's the first step. What is my connection to myself? And how do I have that really strong? And then how do I look at all of my children and know they're all different? And how do I connect to them on a deeper level? How do I there's certain situations where society would say, well, just punish them for that, or that's just wouldn't happen, or, but maybe for your child, they need you to sit down and have a real conversation so they fully understand it. And it's not about power, but I think for so long it's been a power dynamic parenting. And I really want to help parents feel powerful, feel empowered, but also feel so connected to their child that they can make that decision that 99% of the other parents of kids their age aren't making for their child. And they can just say, I feel good. This is the best decision for us. I don't need to defend it to anyone. I don't need to look for outside sources of validation. I have so strongly connected in this relationship with myself and with my child that I'm just going to do what's best for them. And, I have 5 kids, so it's different for all of them. But it's that taking that time, and you can see all kids want you to do is take the time to see them, they really just want to be seen for who they are. And maybe, your 13-year-old needs to be parented this way, and maybe they need a little more structure, and maybe it's okay for them to be yelled at because it doesn't really bother them. But then your 8-year-old is so sensitive and empathic that you yelling at another one of the kids, they feel it and they're like, oh my gosh. So I just remember when my sister had her baby, her husband was like, wait, they don't give us a parent's manual with this thing. We're supposed to take this home. We don't know what we're doing, And we do know what we're doing. And I guess that's what I want to say is I want to help parents unlock and uncover their own internal parenting manual. Your child chose you because you have all the tools to raise them, but you have to honor that. You have to honor that I have the tools for this child. Society doesn't know what my toolbox is. I know what it is. This child chose me and I can provide it. And so having that confidence and ability to just do what is best for them so that they can see that they are honored as a person and they can move out into the world in that way. Because I truly think if we can give them, you came here with a purpose, I'm going to support you to do that purpose, find that purpose and grow into it. They're not going to have to do all the other uncovering that we've all had to do, right? All the baggage that we keep unpacking of the stories and the generations. And so it's a beautiful way if we intuitively parent to break a lot of generational patterns as well. And you end up reparenting yourself, which then goes back to how you're dealing with your own parents and your communications with them and how that is, and then how you're dealing with your children. So it's the parent is this central linchpin or focal point, and then it can kind of beautifully go out in all directions and just make the family relationship strong and beautiful. You're still going to have hard times. You're still going to have power struggles in your house. Everything's not going to be perfect, but you're going to sleep at night knowing that you've honored your child in every interaction to the best of your ability. And that's what I want to support parents to do, small kind.
Wow. I mean, I'm I wish I had kids right now so I could be yeah, let's do it. But that sounds amazing, Courtney, and truly so needed. And it's so beautiful how you hold yourself. And I've seen you work with people and it's just, you just light people up. I mean, you lit me up right now. I was in totally a funky mood and I'm just sitting here talking to Courtney and just always just lightens me and brightens me and just makes me feel yeah, we can do it.
It's hopeful, right?
Yes.
It's hope.
Yes. And it's fun, these things don't have to be so heavy. So my question is, if someone's listening right now and going, oh, I want to do that. I want to coach with her. How do they reach out to you? How do they do that?
So I have a website. It's mominterrupted.net, and that's a good central place to go because it has my podcasts on there, so you can check them out. And that's a great way to get a little bit deeper into what I'm up to, my personality, who I am. So I like just have that offering for people. And then it also has like all my social media links, or you can find through the website as well. So it's just a good central place to go. And then it has my different offerings. I definitely like to hop on the phone and have a conversation before anyone signs up for anything, because it's just good to know, like, do we jive? Is this something that you want to dive into? And so just have a conversation where they're at and where they're looking to go. And then we can go from there.
Do you have an email?
I do. It's Peritore, PERITOREC @gmail.com.
Perfect. So we will put that information in the show notes, mominterrupted.net and peritorec@gmail.com. Definitely reach out to Courtney if this is resonating with you. She is such a beautiful coach and inspiring person. And this is important, you guys. Like this, like we said, it's like what we do with the next generation, or how we influence them, or how we interact with them, and how we heal ourselves. Like you were just saying, that's really going to shape what the world looks like in, 10 years, 20 years down in the, in the very long future.
Yeah.
And now is a more important time than ever. So yeah, Courtney, this has been so fun. Is there anything else?
Always a pleasure.
It is always. Is there anything else you feel super called to share before we wrap up here?
I guess just if you're listening to this podcast and it resonates with you, just like take that time, take those quiet moments with your child. You can never love your child enough. That is so false. You can be a completely attached and loving parent, and you can still be like autonomous. You can still have your own self, but so don't worry about losing yourself or losing control, or, just do what feels good and connected with your child in a very real way, not a superficial, oh, this feels good because I'm just making them happy, but like deeply feels good on a soul level. And so many of those issues and things that come up just won't, or when they do, you're going to know how to handle them and talk to your child and deal with them, because you're going to have a strong relationship. So your relationship with your child isn't a given. It's something that you have to cultivate, work on, and be a willing participant in.
Beautiful, beautiful way to end this. Thank you so much, Courtney. This is so amazing. Coming to us all the way from Hawaii. Every time I see you, I see that. What is it? Is it like a bull? No, what is it? Buffalo? Buffalo with the lays on it. I'm like, Hawaii. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing. Thank you all for listening so much. If you are a Positive Head listener and you want to share your story, you can always email me at alexa@positivehead.com and tell me who you are and what's going on and what you want to share about. And we'll see about getting you on one of these episodes, because all of you are so beautiful and unique, and definitely have some stories to share. So other than that, as Brandon always says, journey well, Courtney.
And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talk with Brandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.